Here are the lessons I learned from designing this beautiful craft room. Hey y'all, I'm Elisa, the Scrappy Wife behind ScrappyWife.com, and welcome to my craft studio. As I kind of prepare to pack up this studio and move and set up a whole new craft space, I thought it would be great to take some time to reflect on the lessons I learned from designing this studio, kind of cover what worked, what didn't, and some tips for designing a studio or a craft space in the future. And I thought it would be good for me to reflect as I kind of dream of a new space. So I have had all kinds of different craft spaces. I definitely started in the corner of my dining room with a few bags of organization full of craft supplies, where I would pull everything out, do some crafting, and then have to put it all away. I moved up to having a desk in our bedroom that kind of folded up and was kind of a small little IKEA desk, but worked really well for me at that time. As we kind of evolved in our family life and in my crafting life, eventually I had a larger desk set up in the middle of a kids' playroom. As kids kind of ran around and had fun, I was able to get in some hobby time. And it has changed over the years. I've gone from a closet to a small bedroom to a bigger bedroom to this basement space that I am really enjoying in this time. And this space was something that I dreamed of and planned for a very long time. And so this is truly the space of my dreams. I love it, but there are some things that I would change and that I would improve upon, or at least reconsider the next time I set up a craft room or a craft space. And I thought, why not take some time to kind of list out those things, get my thoughts organized, and share them with you all in case you are working on setting up a craft room or tweaking your current setup, or maybe you're just dreaming of a craft space in the future. These are things that I think you may want to consider. So let's take some time. We're going to go through the most important things I learned as I planned and designed and then implemented this craft studio. Hopefully, there will be some tips you can take away. Let's go. Okay, so let's start with the category of storage and organization. Storage and organization, what worked? The biggest thing that worked for me is something that I've learned about myself over the years, and that is that clear storage is what speaks to my heart. I love clear storage bins. Anytime I can see supplies, I'm going to use supplies. And it was really important to me to have as much clear storage as possible. That really allowed me to appreciate all the beautiful supplies in my room, set it up in almost a store like way so that it was very visually appealing. That tended to stimulate my creativity. It helped to organize a lot of the smaller items in the craft world, no matter what type of crafting you do. The size of what you're organizing kind of runs the gamut. You have really big things, and then I had so many little tiny things. And instead of having them kind of stored away where I couldn't see them, I have all these small bins and clear pieces that have worked really, really well for me. So clear storage was by far something that I'm so pleased with and will definitely continue in the future. Also, number two, labeling, 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 labeling everything to avoid having to search for supplies. I know we think that once we organize, well, of course my pens are always there. Or of course, labeling has helped me so much, especially as my space has evolved. It's so great to see where the labels are, to see what is supposed to be contained within a drawer. So I don't just start sticking things in different places because they happen to fit. The labels have helped immensely just to keep me in line. They're almost like, I always say it's really important to contain your supplies. Don't just put them on a shelf, but put them in a container on a shelf, or don't just throw them in a drawer. get small bins and organize it in a drawer. The labeling system almost served as its own container, because if a drawer was labeled with a certain product or a certain craft zone, then it was kind of a little barrier for me to not just start shoving things in nooks and crannies in an effort to tidy up super fast. It was a lifesaver and something that I will definitely be doing more in the future. And then grouping items together. I think this is one of those things that we know inherently. Like, of course, all of my stamping tools should go together in one place, but really having that be a primary focus as I organize and lay out my next room, that's going to be a priority for sure. Now, let's talk about some things that didn't work in this space in the end. Okay, I have very large drawers and I wanted these large drawers. They pull out, they're beautiful. They ended up being a little cumbersome and a little difficult. I kind of wish I had some smaller drawers to organize some smaller categories. We talked about grouping like things together. Well, with such big drawers in my primary unit back here, it became a little difficult to make sure that all the things in the drawers were within the same zone or the same category. I would definitely divide it up into smaller drawers in the future. The large ones, while they're beautiful and something I had always dreamed about, tended to not be as functional as I would have wanted them. Even with using dividers and bins, it just was not my jam um, in the end. So, something that I would probably redo in the future. We talked about how much I love clear storage. I thought I would be fine with having my supplies behind me, my mixed media supplies in these covered cabinets. It does take away some of the visual clutter of the space, but I miss seeing the beautiful supplies. I miss seeing the color. And I found that when my mixed media supplies have been put away, when they're behind drawers and behind doors, I just don't use them as much. And so I would reconsider how I'm organizing those, or possibly how I label the cabinet fronts, because I do want to remember. I want a visual cue that reminds me to think of those supplies to make sure I'm using them in various crafting projects. I tend to just use what I see. It's the default, it's what my brain jumps to right away. And so I need a visual reminder of some sort to remember I have a ton of beautiful sprays and I have amazing stamps. I just don't get to see them. Okay, and the last thing that didn't work was something that I always warn people about, but this is one of those do as I say, not as I do. And I did the thing. I ordered a bunch of clear bins before I even got started organizing. I was so excited to set up this space. I went to Walmart, I bought all of the different home edit bins, all of the different sizes, got a ton of things, and I didn't get all the correct sizings and I had to work around, and it wasn't all the best solutions. So I bought too many storage solutions before I knew what I actually needed. Next time I set up a space, I'm going to take my time, be a little bit more thoughtful in not just the layout of the room. I spent a long time working on the layout of this room, but be a little more thoughtful, slow down a little bit about how I want to organize and contain supplies within their locations. That is going to be pretty vital because I don't want to invest in a ton of new things. I want to use what I have. And that would be my biggest tip going forward, is to start organizing with what you have. Start with the bins you have, start with the shelves you have, and see how you can grow or adapt from there. Bringing in all of that product right from the start, while it was fun to unpackage the product and to have lots of options, it was pretty cumbersome, and I don't know that I ended up with everything I exactly needed. All right, so let's talk about workflow now. The workflow and functionality of actually how my space is set up. Something that worked so well, and again, something I recommend all the time: zones. Creating zones for different activities. I have a sticker zone. I actually have a couple sticker zones and a planner zone. I have a paper ephemera zone, like almost a whole paper zone in my closet that has all my 12 by 12 paper, has collage paper, all my ephemera is over there. All things paper over in that zone. I have a mixed media zone. It makes it so easy to find what I am looking for. Zones have been vital to the functionality of the space, and something that will be in the forefront as I plan for a future space. The other thing that's worked really well, I have actually kind of a minimal desk in that I don't have a lot of tools right here at my desk. Of course, I have a ton of storage behind me that works great and I can get to all my things by standing up and walking around. I don't have a ton right here, but what I do have are the ones I use all of the time. So having some small solutions that have allowed me to have my most needed tools right here, however, still having a pretty clear workspace, that was a huge, huge win. And then I have had a cart forever. Rolling carts are fantastic. I do have a laminate floor down here, luxury vinyl, I guess you call it now. And it has allowed me to use carts very effectively. My cart has kind of changed over time. Primarily, it has been a faith themed cart, which has allowed me to kind of roll it over to my chair to study and reflect. But it has all my faith supplies in one place. I've used it as a planner cart, as my main kind of planner cart for what I'm using in that moment. Carts have been fantastic, and that will certainly be something that I utilize in the future. So here's what didn't work as far as the workflow and functionality of this space. And some of this is hard to anticipate. I did not plan for growth in certain categories as my hobbies change. So I became very, very, very interested in planners and planning. And as my sticker collection grew with different companies that I work with, I didn't plan very well for that expanded amount of stickers, and it's a lot, and it's kind of overflowed from the original sticker zone. Like I said, I have multiple sticker zones around the room. In my future spot, I kind of want to plan for that a little bit better. And then the other thing that I didn't really plan for that didn't really work out well for me were my Alex drawers that I use primarily for ephemera and collage and a few other kind of smaller hobbies that I dabble in. I love the look of the Alex drawers, but with their location, it was hard to keep things organized within the drawers, even with containers that I used within those drawers. And then it was hard to physically open some of the drawers just because of how everything is oriented. So my two sliding units or rolling units are ones that I would definitely reconsider in the future. It's not that I don't think Alex drawers can work, because I definitely do. What I think is the way I have them set up is not the best. So that is something that I want to consider maybe tweaking in the future. All right, let's talk about the furniture purchases that I made for this space and what I am super pleased with and what I would probably change going forwards. Now, as far as my craft supply collection, that has been built over many, many, many years. It definitely wasn't all purchased in one big fell swoop, but many of the furniture pieces in this room were picked specifically for this space, were pieces that I purchased primarily from IKEA and Wayfair, that I had big plans for this particular space. And a few of them that have worked out really well for me include my large work table. I purchased a kitchen island as my work table, and I love it. I have no regrets that I did not go with a white work table. I love this one. I find the warmth and the character absolutely perfect for my style and aesthetic. I love having this big work surface. It has been fantastic. And it is definitely something that I will take forwards with me and that I would recommend to anyone in the future. Kitchen islands just tend to have a bigger work surface, and the more work surface you have, the more fun it is to get creative and get messy, and I'm all for it. So I actually purchased my desk from Wayfair, my kitchen island desk. I love that it has drawers, kind of minimal drawers, but it has open storage underneath. It has been a fantastic addition and something I'm pretty pleased with purchasing. Another big purchase that I made specifically for this room is a Murphy bed. The Murphy bed that I have available in this room allows this room to be a guest room also. And I know so many of you share your craft spaces in a multifunctional space, oftentimes a guest room. And I understand having the big bed in the guest room, that is certainly something that I have had in the future. However, knowing that I have a Murphy bed that can close up, it doesn't even look like a bed the majority of the time, has been fantastic as far as the aesthetic and functionality of this space. It's been great. And then the other thing that I have really loved are Billy bookcases. The the way you can adjust Billy bookcases to fit your needs, adjusting the shelving, adding doors, just it's like a million things you can do with those bookcases. And I'm a big fan and is something that I will continue to invest in the future. Okay, something that I may reconsider. When I was designing this space, I never anticipated actually selling products. So, my craft room is actually my studio. My business is down here, and I released product after about a year and a half ish after I started or after I set up this room. So, I never anticipated having product, and I had to find space to store product down here. Um, After I started developing it. So, if I had known or looking back, I would change the glass sliding storage that I have next to my Glowforge. It is beautiful. I picked it primarily for aesthetic reasons, thinking that that is where I would store all my finished projects and scrapbooks and planners and things like that. And in the end, it hasn't been the most functional for actually having product in this space. So that is something I would reconsider and change going forward. While I love the pieces and I love how they look, I don't know that the sliding doors were really the most functional thing that I could have chosen for this particular space. I also had no idea how many shelves I would eventually need. I definitely need more. I'm definitely overflowing as far as inventory goes for products. So as I consider a space in the future, that's something I'm going to definitely reflect on and kind of figure out a different storage solution for. And then the other thing is, I get comments all the time on my purple chair. I do love my purple chair, but knowing how much I sit here and how much I work here, I think I would like to invest in a more ergonomic chair, something that comes up a little bit higher because, like I said, I use a kitchen island, so it's raised up a little bit more. I would bite the bullet and get a really nice, comfortable chair. That's just something I think maybe we should all consider a little bit more. I love the aesthetic; it's beautiful, but I think I would change it up going forwards. So my tip for you, if you are looking for furniture for your craft space, is look for furniture that is flexible and that can grow with your needs. Again, that's why I love the Billy bookcases. You can add additional shelves, you can add additional units, and it will look pretty seamless. I couldn't add additional shelves with my sliding glass doors. I couldn't change them up very much. So looking for furniture that can kind of grow with you, I think that's pretty vital. All right, and let's talk about the aesthetics and inspiration in the room. Something I love. This room feels very much like me. It is bright. It is colorful. It has. It's a little bit eclectic. It has pieces of vintage, and it has bright white from IKEA, and it's all the things that really feel like me. And I love that I was able to create a space like that. I didn't try to copy a picture I found on online, or I wasn't trying to pull off an aesthetic that didn't feel very authentic to myself. So choosing a bright color scheme that sparked creativity, that was absolutely key and something I love. I was able to add personal touches. I happen to love words and I happen to love books and seeing rainbows. And so organizing and setting up my space so that I can appreciate those things really added a personal touch that I think is pretty darn important. And I really like to display my favorite supplies as the actual decor in the room. That has been something I've loved forever. It's one of the reasons I love pegboards, is because you get to display your supplies as if it were a store. There's a reason we love a beautiful craft store. It is inspiring. It makes us want to create. So why not kind of take the time to set up whatever space you have to have that same feel? So those were really awesome. There have been times that there's been too much decor out. I've multiple times I kind of ended up gathering too many things. It started to feel a little bit cluttered, especially with all the supplies being so visual. So I definitely don't want to go overboard on decor because I really want the supplies to be front and center. And something many of you have commented on in the past that is a struggle is dusting. Dusting in this room is a struggle with so many shelves, open supplies, open everything. Dusting is not easy in this room. So maybe a few more things covered, or I don't know, a different system for how I want to dust. It's been a struggle and I don't really have a great solution, but I know it's something that isn't working well in this space that I may need to reconsider going forwards. my tip for you is to balance the function and beauty. So definitely you want your space to feel like you want it to be functional, but it also needs to be beautiful. It needs to be inspirational. Just because it's functional doesn't mean you're going to want to create there. Consider setting up a space that gives you confidence and that sparks your creativity. Okay, so let's wrap it up with the mistakes I made in this space and what I would do differently. So, there were times that I overspent on some of my storage solutions because I was going for a particular aesthetic. For instance, the sliding glass door storage, a little bit pricey. If I had gotten Billy bookcases, I could have done something that was more functional for me and would have looked just as beautiful. There were times that I really splurged on a few items, maybe from the Container Store, that were absolutely beautiful and wonderful, but maybe I could have saved money in the long run. So, something to consider. I bought too many storage solutions before knowing what I really needed. I bought a ton of bins. I bought all the bins and all the sizes, multiples. So, having a more focused plan on what I actually needed and gathering those over time instead of just feeling like I needed to get everything in one trip, that would be something I would reconsider. And then not planning the space for growth. I kind of maxed out the space almost from the beginning and then kept adding more in. So I should have planned for a little bit more growth from the start. All right, so those are some of my takeaways from designing and setting up this space. I have loved this space. I'm excited to set up a new space. I find it, I don't know, really intriguing and really inspiring to think about what a new space might look like. And definitely some things I want to consider and change up going forwards. I'd love to hear if you are dreaming of a space. What are some of your takeaways? What are some things you're going to consider as you're setting up your space? Or if you have set up a craft room in the past, what's working for you, what's not? Let's have a discussion down in the comments below. I'd love to help you kind of diagnose and come up with some solutions. And I know that there's a lot of amazing people that watch this channel and that will watch this video that will have some great ideas for you. So make sure to leave those questions and things down below in the comments. I do want to give a huge shout out to my entire Patreon community. We spend a lot of time on organization over in Patreon and have a great time. So if you are interested in joining us and receiving some extra perks like exclusive videos and Zooms and live streams, Patreon is the place to be. You can head on over to ScrappyWife or patreon.com/ScrappyWife to find out more. And a huge thank you to all of my current patrons. All right, that wraps it up. I can't wait to share my journey of setting up a new craft room with you. So if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell notification button because there will certainly be some brand new craft room organization content coming at you this summer when we make our big move across the country. All right, I hope that you have a fabulous day. And as always, keep it creative.